You have the same exact conversation in your head pretty much all the time. You tell yourself, if you could just get motivated, if you could just get over that edge, you could finally build the discipline to do the things that you need to do in your life. You could start the business, you could get in shape, you can do all this amazing cool stuff, right? We all have that feeling in the back of our mind that if we were somehow able to bring ourselves to the point that we'd actually change our lives. But most people never do anything with that feeling. Most people stay stuck in the same spot. If it were easy to motivate yourself, then everybody would do it. If it were easy to build the life of your dreams, then everybody would do it. But it's difficult. It's why I make so many videos. It's why self-improvement is a giant industry. It's why I'm going to share the video I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to talk about some sources that you can use to give yourself the motivation that you need to change. And I'm openly honest about the fact that me just telling you these sources isn't really going to get you anywhere. I can just give you a little bit of that insight that you're going to have to use on a long-term journey to improve your life, right? These catalysts and source of motivation ultimately bring you to the answer that all self-improvement brings you to, which is that you just have to do it. But you can get to the process of actually doing something by using insights, by using these different angles that I'm going to share with you in this video. So check them out, pick one that works for you, and give it a try. But before we get to the meat of the video, I want to share some things that I want you to do. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so that you can get brand new videos. If you're on Instagram, make sure to share with your friends. Share this video to your stories if you find it useful. Whatever platform you're on, I encourage you to share and use the tools of that platform to spread this to people who might benefit from the message. The number one source of motivation for me, the source that carried me through to be able to put together 5 years, 6 years worth of work that it took to get me to the place where I'm at now, is frustration. You know, a lot of people, they talk about frustration and other negative emotions as unhealthy, but I look at these as signals to change. And the way that you can make a real change in your life is by not downgrading that level of frustration, but actually taking it up a higher notch. So what most people do, they go through their life, they have low level anxiety, they have this uneasiness that they feel every single day, but they keep it at bay enough so that they can kind of cope with their lives and keep going forward. It's how they deal. Instead of fully facing things up front, they kind of bury it a little bit. They try not to feel it too much so they can get by. I suggest that you do the opposite. I suggest that you dial things up. Feel the frustration of where you're at now and extrapolate it to the rest of your life. When I was working at a job where I wasn't making any money, I remember this story where I was working at a video store and I was a manager, and I went to Taco John's restaurant and looked at the sign on the window, and the dollar per hour wage that they was offering was higher than the job that I currently have. That pissed me off. I spent a lot of time when I was trying to improve my life pissed off at my current circumstances, and it worked. Negative emotions can be very powerful. You should look at your life, and if you're not where you want to be, it should upset you. You should feel negative feelings. You should use that as a signal to change. So take it up to the next notch. Don't fall for the myth in this culture that you should feel good about your circumstances no matter what. Says who? Maybe you don't feel good about your life because your life sucks. Maybe you should change that. Don't let that feeling go to waste like most people do, spending decades feeling that emotion at a low level. Take it up front. Take your beating up front. Beat yourself up a little bit and use that as an inspiration, motivation to change. And then the next thing you can do is use inspiration, right? So you don't want to spend all of your time beating yourself up and feeling bad. Inspiration is also very valuable. It was very valuable to me when I was first just trying to turn my life around, learn about personal development in general. I would listen to positive messages from people like Jim Rohn, who would say things like, 5 years from now, you could build the life that you want if you started today. I would listen to people like Tony Robbins and read their books and get some of those positive messages into my brain just so that I could be primed to see more opportunities in the future. So what inspiration does, what getting into self-improvement content does, what reading and watching these videos, listening to podcasts, it gets you primed to at least be in the position to start to spot and seize opportunities. Just having a base level of optimism can create motivation, because most people, they're stuck in that low level malaise. They're not dialing it up and getting frustrated enough to change, but then they're also not seeing any possibilities in the future. So you're stuck in this weird limbo. So inspiration is a source of change if you use it enough to kind of ride that wave of momentum that you get from that feeling, right? So 5 years ago, I would watch all these videos and get inspired, but then I would start trying to take all of that inspiration and put it and use it as some sort of fuel to do something, right? So I would start getting myself in a better shape. I would start trying to do a better job at work. I would start trying to do a better job in my communication, in the way that I carried myself. And I would let this inspiration change the way that I brought myself into the world, even though my circumstances hadn't changed yet. So I started to have a better disposition and started working on myself and started feeling better and treating other people better and radiating more positive energy, even though I was still working at that job for $10 an hour, even though I was broke, even though the circumstances in my life were still frustrating. I looked up and saw a future possibility. Then I also had that drive and anger, and they kind of developed a symbiotic relationship with each other that led to a better future. A really good source of motivation are the events that happen in your life that you can use as signs and pivot points. So there are a lot of stories and anecdotes you hear about somebody having a near-death experience, and all of a sudden they have a brand new outlook or appreciation for life. Often people will go through traumatic experiences. They'll go through a divorce. They will go lose a job, economic hardship. Something will happen that will kind of wake them up and make them realize what they've been doing wrong, or give them more of an appreciation for life. Something in their life kind of puts them in that moment where they really think that they can move in a different direction. And these moments don't necessarily have to be extremely monumental. You don't have to get devastated and buried into the rubble before you build yourself back up. But you can start to look at little moments in your life and use them as pivot points. Use them as motivation, right? So there's the cliche saying that, sometimes a door closes so another one can open. Maybe you didn't get that job for a reason. Maybe some of the things that happen in your life could be catalysts for a better future. I got into a lot of trouble, legal trouble, got arrested, different things like that. I could have looked at those as things that would be permanent failures for me, but I chose to see those moments as wake-up calls. And the situations that I found myself in inspired me to change. When I looked up and the events in my life kind of put my back against the wall, I decided I wanted to pivot in a different direction. So you don't have to wait for something crazy to happen to you to start changing your life, but start looking at the moments in your life as opportunities, as signs that you should pivot in a different direction. Don't just go through your life letting everything kind of happen to you, and then you just create this narrative that things are just randomly happening to you and there's nothing that you can do about it. No. Everything that happens to you can be interpreted in a certain way, and you're always going to benefit as seeing things that happen to you as somehow useful to you. So look at the events in your life, see them as useful, and try to act based on the lessons that you could draw from them. One source of motivation that works really well that doesn't get talked about often enough is envy. When somebody's living the type of life that you want or doing some of the things that you want, you could use your envy you feel towards them to your benefit. So most people, they'll look at somebody who's more successful than them, further across in the field than them, somehow above them or in whatever way, right? And they'll just look up and they'll kind of complain and they'll hate on that person, blah, blah, blah. But they don't take the next step and actually make it useful, which is to figure out what those people are doing and also understand that these people are mere mortals where you can reverse engineer their strategies. This is something I did a bunch when I was trying to get my writing career together. I saw a lot of different writers who they were ahead of me. They were making more money than me. They were getting more views than me. They were publishing awesome books, getting viral articles. And, I felt that little bit of that pang in my chest and my solar plexus that made me feel envious and jealous of them. But I didn't stop there. I said, what websites are they publishing their work on? Is there something they're doing with their writing that's making it successful? What type of headlines are they using? What kind of stories are they using? What little writing and promotion techniques can I take from them and reverse engineer them into my own life? So I wasn't plagiarizing other writers, but I was stealing and observing and using the place that they were at as motivation for me to realize that I could get there too. So when I saw somebody who had 1 million views, I didn't say, oh, screw them. I said, no, I want 1 million views too. How do I get that? I copy their moves. Boom, I get 1 million views. I study other YouTubers, other video creators. I get jealous. I get envious. But I realize that their videos are better than mine. They look better than mine. They have better topic selection. They flow better. They've been doing it for longer. So I try to reverse engineer those steps too. You're going to compare yourself to other people. People say don't compare yourself to others. How good are you at failing to compare yourself to other people? You're terrible at it. You do it all the time. You might as well use it to your advantage. Use it as a source of motivation. The last source of motivation that you can use kind of ties all of these things together, but it's using the idea of your future self that you can aspire to. Think about the person that you could be in the future and use that person as motivation for who you are in the present moment. See, future you is something that has not yet materialized. It is a standard that you're currently not living up to that you can take actions in the present moment to try to achieve. So I used to think about this. I've been a dreamer my whole life. I thought about owning a business. I had dreams of being a writer. I had dreams of being successful. I've always kind of had this feeling that there was something meant or something more for my life. I had a feeling that I was talented and that I could turn it into something and help other people and live a dream. I really felt that at a core level. And I felt a lot of anxiety in my life when I wasn't meeting those expectations. And I would think about my future self and I would say, damn, what would my life look like if I could just piece it all together? And there were a lot of years where I wasn't doing the right things. There were a lot of years where I failed. A lot of years where I procrastinated. A lot of years where I was chronically lazy, chronically procrastinating. There was a lot of moments, years, weeks, months in my life, whatever, where I was feeling just like you, where I was feeling like there was something better out there for me and there was a person that I could be, and I just didn't quite put it together for a while. But then eventually I said, you know what? If I put in the time now, there can be a version of myself in the future that's much better off than I am right now. And I've completely transformed my life in 5 years. I'm not even going to understate it. I'm not even saying it to be arrogant. Like, it blows my mind, some of the things that I've pulled off, just because in the past when I was broke, I thought about what it would be like now. When I was working for a job, $10 an hour, didn't have a car, walking back and forth 2 miles each day to drop off the bank deposits from the video store, I told myself that it wasn't always going to be like this. I told myself that there was going to be a different me and a different reality that I would exist in that would be 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x better than it was back then. And it clicked. I did the work. There can be a moment in your life where, for a multitude of different reasons, it just clicks, and then you finally start. You build habits, you build discipline, you build patterns, and then you look up, one day you're successful. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to check all the resources I'm providing, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram. You can check out my book, Real Help and Honest Guide to Self-Improvement. Going to be in the description in YouTube. Going to be in my bio on Instagram. I'll post it on LinkedIn, all other platforms. Make sure to check that out. Check out all the links that I have. Again, make sure to share this video with your friends if you find any benefit from it. Having a blast making these videos. Getting back on the horse, going to be much more consistent. So I will see you on the next video.